You have to write them down. You can only use a few days. You can use the same ones over and over.
Ariel, the shirt I let you. Did you wash it? The shirt I let you. You have laundry.
Okay, everybody. What? I'm so if you guys could really spare me by just staying quiet and just listening, and it's a show you might learn something. Just I'm not in like my best strength, so I can't really speak a lot.
You know what? It doesn't count unless your full body is in there. It's like the sukkah.
What is it?
I heard an echo.
That was so weird. Okay. Okay, so usually when I give a shear about the Gula Moshiach, it's usually it's a very technical shear, meaning like I go into more technical things, technicalities about Moshiach and halacha and Gemara or whatever. But I felt like because we're starting off like the first few shirim, I think instead of speaking about more technical things or and what you have to do and all these different things that we could discuss, and there's a lot of things to discuss, and with Hashem over all the shirim that we're going to have, we're going to discuss all these things. But I thought it would be more appropriate if we speak about something more like a more introduction to understand more what we're trying to get ourselves into, and bring down more general idea, general concept about Mashiach that we can really all apply and really get this idea about what Mashiach is in a general way. And then afterwards we go into all the different technicalities in the future. Okay. So Mashiach. So before we're giving all these shirim to one of the yeah.
Are we doing the daily Moshiach, or we're just doing concepts of like, or technical? No, like this year.
This year is going to be like a more general. What's the whole idea and what's the whole idea of Mashiach in general, and then like how specifically now what we have to change in our own outlook and our own avodah, what we have to do ourselves. It's just going to be a very general idea. Usually I give like I made a lot of different classes. Hopefully in the future we'll talk about the different things, the Rambam says this and all the technical stuff. Now we're going to just discuss something more general. We'll just discuss the general idea about Mashiach and what does it do in our practical life, day-to-day life. Okay, so I don't know if everybody knows, but the obvious reason why we started doing the shirim now is from the famous sikha, which the Rebbe said after many, many years of his leadership, on the 28th of Nisan. Cover, just please spare me. It's only 10 minutes. So the Rebbe said a very, very powerful sikha. The Rebbe usually didn't speak in a very harsh tone, but on the 28th of Nisan, the Rebbe decided, really let out a bomb. Like very openly to all the Chassidim, and said that my 40 years of leadership until now were literally nothing. Literally the Rebbe said these words. The Rebbe said all my leadership until now is literally for nothing, because we're continuing. We're still in a galus. We're still in an exile. And not only that we're in an exile, we're still in exile in our own personal avodas Hashem, in our own service to Hashem, and it would be, and it's never explains that, never says we don't expect for Moshiach to come, and it's okay that Moshiach doesn't come for tonight and the next night, and we could keep on having another Fabray, and I'm going to keep on doing what I got. Personally speaking about himself, I'm going to keep on saying another Fabray and another Sikh, and we're going to learn it, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to discuss, and it's all going to be la-di-da-di. But Pal Mamish, we didn't change. I never said what I'm gonna do, meaning what I have done, and now it's your job. And it's like, what does that mean? The Rebbe is like a leader. He's the one who's been initiating every single thing that we have to do, all the mitzvayim and all the things and every single thing that we were doing until now. The Rebbe says now it's all up to you. It's like he's letting us all go. So it was a very scary time, and after that, that's when many Chassidim stepped up and they started asking the Rebbe, what specifically do we have to do to bring Mashiach? The Rebbe said out a week later in one of the Fabrayans, the Rebbe said one of the most direct way to bring Mashiach is through learning about Mashiach. Now, so that's what Rebbe said. And then after that, there's a whole series. After that, that's the whole Sichos of Ramalchus. If anybody ever heard about those Sichos. But basically, Rebbe starts off on a very baseline to explain exactly what is Geula, what is the redemption, what is this whole thing that we're waiting for. And Rebbe starts from a very, very simple way to explain what it's all about. But the point that I'm trying to get to today is, I don't want to really discuss those sichos. They're also they have many details within them. I want to discuss more the whole outlook, what the Rebbe wants us to be, want us to look at how we have to change ourselves. So one of the main point that I'm going to take out is from this sicha. The Rebbe said that we're still in an internal exile. Yeah, an internal exile. What does that mean? All right, in exile we can understand we're geographically we find ourselves in the Poconos, or we're really supposed to be in Israel. But what does that mean that we're in a personal internal exile? What is Rebbe talking about? And what's the Rebbe want us to change, and what do we have to do? So to understand that, we have to understand what is Moshiach. We have to understand what has been happening until now throughout the whole entire 2,000 years, or really from the beginning of creation, in order for us to get to the ultimate redemption. And obviously now our generation, which is like the final generation, like the Rebbe says, what change in our generation that we have to do now to bring to the actuality of Mashiach. Okay. So Hashem created the world. Yeah, let's just start from the beginning. So Hashem created the world, and Hashem had a whole entire plan. And throughout that whole entire plan, many bumps went on the way. And we had Mount Terah, we got the Terah, Hashem chose his people. But now throughout that whole time, what changed? What? No, I'm saying throughout that, it is really Gullus in comparison to what's going to be ultimately. It's all leading up to the ultimate redemption. So anything compared to that is Gullus, really. But whatever, that's not really the point. The point is right now is to see what has to change now. What's the Rebbe trying to change? What do we have to change now for us to make the Geula actually happen? So we have to rewind a little bit. We have to see what was being done in all the previous generations, that what we have to change now in a very practical way in order for the Geula to happen. So I just want to go back just the Rebbe and the previous generations, right? And maybe a little bit before Chassidus. What was the whole Chiddush? What was the whole Chiddush? Yeah, everyone knows what Chiddush is, right? What was special about the Baal Shem Tov when he came around? Anyone knows? What was special about the Baal Shem Tov?
He opened up the water to everybody.
What is that?
Like before he was there, Torah was just only for certain people, and you had to work your way to get it, but he made it accessible.
Okay, yeah, that's basically it, right? He basically that's basically what everyone knows the Baal Shem Tov for. The Baal Shem Tov loved every single Jew. There was something special about the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov made Yiddishkeit not exclusive, right? Baal Shem Tov made Yiddishkeit not exclusive, which in essence doesn't really make any sense. Meaning, the Baal Shem Tov didn't really make a chiddush. Meaning, he revealed something that was always there. Yiddishkeit was never supposed to be exclusive, but because of the Galus,
Yiddishkeit or Torah specifically?
I'm saying Torah, but also I'm saying at the end of the day, it also was mitzvahs. They also made there was always a separation. Oh, if you're not observant Jew, if you don't do mitzvahs, okay, you're less Jewish, whatever that means. But because the Choshech HaGalus, because of the darkness of Galus, there was how Jews look, even from Jews, looked at Yiddishkeit, became in a very Galustic way. It became very a dark way, meaning that Yiddishkeit is only confined in one specific place, and it doesn't really apply to the whole entire world. Which that's basically the difference between the Galus and the Geula. Mashiach is that in the world, the whole entire world, every single aspect of it, every single physical thing, the physicality specifically, is all going to, the truth of it is going to be revealed, that it's all included in Hashem, in the oneness of Hashem. So basically the Baal Shem Tov, in comparison to all his previous generations, he brought, so to say, Yiddishkeit, the Jewish people, closer to the Geula from this new revelation that he brought into the world. And he brought us one step closer, like we know the famous story that the Baal Shem Tov went to Moshiach, and Moshiach said, when your wellsprings are going to go throughout the whole entire world, I'm going to come to redeem the Jewish people. So meaning the Baal Shem Tov had this major step to bring to this ultimate reality of Mashiach that every single thing in truth is all included in Hashem's oneness. Fine, that's the Baal Shem Tov. And we come from the Baal Shem Tov and we continue down. We go actually going up to the Maggid and to the Baal Rebbe and all the Rebbeim. And obviously we get to the Shvi to our generation. I don't really want to go into all the details. Every single Rebbe redefined something about Chassidus in a very, very minute, like in a very subtle way. I just want to jump from the Baal Shem Tov to our Rebbe, and through that we can understand really what our Avodah is now. So if the whole entire idea about Mashiach and one of the steps that brought us closer to the times of Mashiach is how the Baal Shem Tov revealed that every single Jew is included in Judaism, is included in Yiddishkeit, meaning that every single thing is really, in truth, its essence is really godliness, and therefore it's all included. And that's the whole entire idea of Mashiach. The whole entire idea about Mashiach is that the truth of everything will become revealed, and that's the whole entire, and that in truth, that's the whole entire idea of Chassidus. Why does everyone get like all hooked up about Chassidus? Why? Because it reaches into some depth inside of us which we never saw before, and it reveals it, and it basically looks past all the different things that are concealing our inside and our essence from being revealed, and that's the whole entire idea of Chassidus. But now the Rebbe, what?
Do non-Jews have a part of God's essence?
Yeah, they do. They have. So in the next shear, you'll see every single thing has a part of Hashem's essence.
So what makes it so special?
Okay, so we'll get to there. It's going to be it's going to be a very interesting class. It's a very technical discussion. It's actually a very famous sukkah. Never discuss. Basically, the Gemara. I'll just mention something short, so we should just get a taste of it. So we'll be excited for next time. It basically says that in the times of Moshiach, the whole discussion of the Gemara basically says that in the times of Moshiach, either the third of the world is going to die, or 2/3 of the world is going to. It says like some very crazy thing. And then all the Mefarshim are trying to like, how does that work, and all these different things.
And like everybody's like a bunch of people are going to die, and those schools are going to
Yeah,
die,
yeah.
and a couple people survive.
Yeah, so that's what it sounds from the most simple idea of Mashiach from the Gemara. But basically, the Gemara said, the Rebbe has a whole discussion about it based on other places that can't be. Every single thing is part of Mashiach. Everything is part of this whole unity, and nothing can really be excluded. But like the Rebbe discusses those technical differences. What's the difference between a Jew and what's the difference between a guy? It's very interesting. It's very interesting brought it up. But we'll discuss it hopefully in the future. But basically, the point of what I'm trying to say is like this. Basically, Chassidus came to bring us closer to Mashiach. And Mashiach is that the truth of everything is that it's one with Hashem. Meaning at every single thing's core, it is one with Hashem. Every single thing has a connection. Like everything is part of the grand plan. Everything is really godly. So who really? So that was always the nekuda. That was always the point of what Chassidus is all about. But the Rebbe really brought it to actuality, meaning like this. I'm going to bring a very extreme story about Chassidus, and to bring out this whole difference. There's a whole sefer written. It's called Derech Chaim. It was written by, I think the Mittler Rebbe or the Rebbe Marash. I forgot which one. It's a whole sefer about Teshuvah, and it says that this whole sefer was written for one chassid. And he says, why was the sefer written? Because he did a very, very bad avera. And what was the avera? Can anyone guess?
I take a guess.
Murder.
You hit the rock.
Mass genocide.
No. Yeah, he did some very.
He didn't learn Chassidus for 9 hours.
He basically had relations with a dead woman. Okay?
Who?
Necrophilia, bro.
Wait, who?
Basically, okay?
Wait, who had relationships with the dead woman?
Chassid.
Oh, Chassid. How do you have relationships with the dead woman? Dead.
You'd be surprised.
So meaning, why am I bringing up this story? Obviously to get you guys' attention a little bit more. But besides that idea, But the point is that Chassidus before, like you look at many different Maimarim, their Rebbeim, and how their Rebbeim and the Chassidim acted in those times, their main focus was to eliminate the bad that was there. Meaning the main focus of Chassidus until our generation was very much the focus of eliminating bad of a person. Right?
Elevating.
What?
Elevating.
But it was very much focused, like, I'm saying, yeah, obviously elevating, I'm saying there's certain parts you elevate, but also like the main focus was like, okay, get rid of like bad business and change it into good. It was mainly the focus on fixing the not good, but the focus wasn't so much, obviously it was to a certain extent, because that is in essence what Chassidus is all about, to focus on the essence of every single Jew. But that wasn't mamish the focus of all the Rebbeim until our Rebbe. As everybody knows, the famous answer of the Rebbe to any person that would come to the Rebbe and say, oh, what do you do for Zara Lavatala? Right, for masturbation. The Rebbe said, be Moshiach Das.
What? What did he say?
The Rebbe said, to be Moshiach Das. Don't think about it. That's literally what the Rebbe said.
How's that possible? How do you not think about it?
By
So
not
you're
thinking.
supposed to think of like disgusting things.
So that's not what he said. He said not think about it.
That's the Rebbe's advice for somebody that was saying. So the Rebbe said the advice for a person that did this avera, and he thinks about it, and he's trying, and he wants to, and the person's trying.
What if that doesn't work? What
Rebbe
if
said,
it's not working out?
okay. We'll discuss. There's more. There's different answers. But I'm saying that the general way the Rebbe would look at things, and the Rebbe does look at like how we have to look at things is. The Rebbe's focus very much, and like this is like the main point of the shear is that the Rebbe wants us to look at ourselves in a much different way. Meaning, before in all the previous generations, the main focus was to eliminate the wrongdoing from ourselves. And meaning, to a certain point, to a certain extent, to identify in a certain way, identify with the evil that's inside of us. And deal with it and like identify, so to say, with it. Yeah, surmara. That was like the main focus. But the Rebbe's focus now is much more focus on living in the state of Moshiach, meaning to live in a way that, like in truth, like living to the ultimate truth, meaning that we all know that we're all part of this scheme. We're all part of the ultimate Geulah Mitzvah Shlema. And we all have a oneness with Hashem. And to live in that way, meaning, what does that mean practically? Like in this, what does that mean practically? That means that when someone does something wrong, like what in the case I just said before, the focus isn't on that. The focus is that what I am in truth. What I am in truth is that I'm a neshama and I have a piece of God inside of me and I'm part of the whole entire goal to come to Mashiach. And these things that are happening to me is not really what I am. Meaning to make that separation between what the truth is and what the sheker is. And that's in a gist of it, that's basically what I see. What the Rebbe is trying to say. What does it mean that we have to get out of our own inner galus? It's not that we have to do another thing. It's not, obviously we have to do a lot more. But it's also changing the perspective how we look at ourselves and how we look at all the people around us and all the situations that we have around us, to look at it in the most ultimate truthful way, that everything is part of this ultimate oneness of Mashiach, and being that we're coming so close, we have to start living in that way, in that manner. Meaning the whole entire focus now has to be on Asay Toiv, and not necessarily on Surmara. Even though someone's going through a hard time, that doesn't mean that they have to wallow in that dark place that they are. Why? Because the truth is that doesn't have a real existence. That whole existence is Elokus and godliness, and really in truth, it's really one with Hashem. And we have to not get caught up in its dark state where it is now. And through this we should be zeicha. Take it from the out. When we start really changing our perception of ourselves and the world around us, we'll ultimately zeicha to the merit to the ultimate Mitzvah Shlema.
What?
Be considerate.